Well, hi again, everybody. I'm Alan Warren, the RV Wingman, and welcome to a little bit of Wingman Wisdom. Got good news to report. I just finished a book. It took me a long time. It took me 3 weeks to finish this book called Digital Madness. If you think you know a little bit about the digital universe, if you will, about these things and the addictive power of these screens, you ain't thought nothing yet. Read Digital Madness. It literally gave me nightmares to read and to learn how deeply affected we are by what we watch on the screens. Oh, I'm not affected by it. I can't help you. If you can't see that we are addicted to these screens, I don't know what to tell you. Now, I do want to mention that all the opinions expressed on Wingman Wisdom are my opinions. They're not necessarily the opinions of people that I do consulting work with. They're not the opinions of others. They're just my opinion, just like you have your opinion. I'm not trying to get you to change whatever you think, to think just like me. I'm trying to talk about subjects that will make you think, come up with your own conclusions. You may think that we're not addicted to our cell phones and to screen time, but I really, really do, and it worries me. It worries me because as much as I try to be an effective communicator, I've done it my entire life, 40 years being in TV and radio, trying to be an effective communicator, not a loud communicator. And somebody yells and tries to put other people down. I'm trying to bring up topics in a way that make you think. And then you can come up, as I say, with your own conclusions to be an effective communicator. I think I do an okay job sometimes. But you know where I do a poor job? Communicating effectively with my daughter. Time out. I am a big time prepper. I see bad things in the future. I do. I don't want to see what I see, but I see bad things. I try to communicate some of them on Wingman Wisdom, but I also try to talk to my daughter about them and her husband, which I love both of them dearly, and my 2-year-old grandson. And I'm worried for them big time. And I've prepped a lot, and I'm able to sustain the apocalypse, whatever that may mean, for a long time, I think. But my daughter and son-in-law, not so much. They just see me as a angry old dad, the get off my lawn YouTube channel guy. And that's not what I want to be. I'm trying to get their attention, but I just can't seem to do it. So it does worry me. Now, the purpose of the human mind. What? I'm not trying to be some genius here. I'm just saying the purpose of the human mind is to be right. You don't like to be wrong, do you? Neither do I. I mean, when we're wrong, we're shaken. We're embarrassed. Being wrong is good. That's where wisdom comes from. When we expect people to have the same thought process, the same feelings, the same opinions throughout their entire life without changing, what is that? Don't you have new experiences that make you go, whoa? When I was a kid, I tell the story about when I wanted a motorcycle growing up. My dad said, you are never having one as long as you live in this house. I had one when I was a boy, and they're dangerous, and you're not going to have one. Well, guess what I bought? The day I moved out of the house, I had a full-time job. I bought a motorcycle, $1,359.03. I paid every penny of it with borrowed money. Went to a credit union, got the money, bought it. And that afternoon, guess what happened? I laid it down. Not bad. Wasn't a bad wreck. I didn't get hurt. Kind of bruised my ego. Wow, how did that happen? A couple weeks later, happened again. But I'm not even being reckless. I'm pretty clumsy sometimes, must be, because the motorcycle went out from under me a couple of times. And then a few months later, I had a pretty good size wreck. And then after that, I said, you know what? These motorcycles are kind of dangerous. So I changed my mind because I experienced something. That's what wisdom is all about. It's learning from your past mistakes. And I worry that our children, and even us, older children, are addicted to our phones where we don't even know it. The big tech companies own us. They want your time. That's what they want. They want you on that screen, not living out here, not seeing what God made. They don't want you out there. They don't mind if you're out there as long as you're on this. Do you disagree? They want your time. Then they want your money. They want the advertisers to pay money because they got your eyeballs. How do they do that? They know us better than we know us. Artificial intelligence is frightening, absolutely frightening, no matter what side of the political spectrum you are on. Big tech knows how to push your emotional button. They know how to get a worm into your brain that will suck your life from you. Oh my God, this guy is off his rocker. Maybe, but maybe not. What if there is something to big tech controlling the message? They want us, I am firmly convinced, they want us fighting. They meaning big tech, they meaning the politicians, they meaning the government. They want us uneducated. They want us stupid. They want us drugged. They want us entertained. They want us distracted so they can do whatever the hell they want. They want us to believe every single thing they say. Do you disagree? They don't mind a question here and there, but if we are too skeptical, if we question too much, we got to take care of that person. And it's because of the way our culture is. I've talked about cruising recently and how kind and wonderful and thoughtful and genuine the spirit that the people have on cruise ships, that work on cruise ships, how they have compared to Americans. It's because they live in a different culture. They really do have a sense of they want to give and take care of people. Americans, we're entitled and lazy and spoiled and arrogant, and we want to be right. We know everything. We're instantaneously jumping to conclusions. So what does that have to do with anything? I believe that we are being lied to. I've said it before. I think that we have been lied to about things that we're supposed to believe in experts. About the vaccines, for example. We're supposed to believe that the borders are closed. I live in San Antonio, Texas. Believe me, they ain't closed. We're supposed to believe that everything's going to be all right with the economy. Just go back to work. Everything's going to be okay. Meanwhile, the world is spinning out of control. Why are we so addicted to these phones? Why are we so addicted to Instagram and Facebook and all this social media? It's because it feels good. Social media is nothing but a little squirt of dopamine into your brain. Dopamine is a chemical that your brain produces, makes you feel good. When somebody tells you something, they give you a compliment, and it makes you feel good. That's a little squirt of dopamine. When people get a like or a share, or a tweet or a retweet, it gives them a little squirt of dopamine, but it's not real. And it's fleeting and it's addictive. I want to feel good again. So what do? You go and you grab the phone. You say, and you start comparing yourself with other people. People watch this. A social contagion is like, you remember streaking back in the 70s when the first idiot went out and run across the football field naked? The first person to start a social contagion is always, it's the hardest. But after that, other people go, I can take my clothes off. I can run across a football field. And they did. Now, why did they do it? It's stupid, right? They did it because they got recognition. They got to be on TV. They got arrested. They got to be in the newspaper and magazines. So it started the social contagion. I think that screens, and I agree with Nicholas Kardaras that wrote the Digital Madness. I think the screens it's a social contagion. When young people, especially, when they'll see somebody else do something stupid and it gets 1 million hits or views or whatever you want to call it, many people go, you know what? I could do something like that, except I could be even more over the top. Yeah. Instead of going to school and learning about chemistry, organic chemistry, philosophy, whatever, they're going to do something stupid to get that instant dopamine rush. What an empty way to live. I mean, for now, it's really good. But when you wake up years later, you're going to go, that's what I did with my life? You know, I read a lot. The ancient philosophers, Socrates and Aristotle and Plato and all those old dead guys in their white robes, they believed that a well-developed human, man or woman, was the combination of 3 things. You know what those 3 things were? First off, they needed to be a philosopher. They need to understand the way the world is and question things. They need to be a philosopher. Next thing, they need to be a warrior. Yeah, to be smart and philosophical without having the ability to, by God, go to battle. That's not a good thing. You've got to have both those things. You have to have one other thing, according to the greats. You have to have a sense of art. Huh? Art. It's an appreciation of, you don't have to be an artist, but it's an appreciation of fine things, art or music, or something that's beyond you, beyond me. And so I'm trying to keep that in mind and be a better balanced person, because I think that if you're the combination of a philosophical warrior who has some interest in art and can appreciate wonders, I think that you're a pretty balanced person. I'm working on that every single day. I got a long ways to go. But this thing about social contagions, the digital madness, the addictive behavior that we're seeing all around us, it frightens me. Does it frighten you? I mean, what's the world going to be like in 10 years, 20 years? Thank God I didn't grow up when the computers were around. I had to go outside and make my own fun, build forts and climb trees and go on hikes and go fishing and get in trouble and do all the things that people that are my age, we used to do. I don't see that today, and it does concern me. So that is my book review on digital madness. I'm warning you, whether you read it or you get the audiobook and you listen to it, I hope you have nightmares. I really do, because it's that profound. There are parts of the book that just scare me to death. And it explains how can kids go so far off track? How can that happen? You know, you see the school shootings. Man, we didn't see that one coming. There are things that you can learn through that book. It's written by a psychologist, a super smart guy. I encourage you to think, to question, to be skeptical. Be skeptical of me. Watch who's trying to influence you. What are they trying to get from you? The screens are trying to get your time. I like your time. I do. 10 or 12-minute video. I appreciate that very, very much. But I'm trying to not give you something just nothing. I'm trying to give you some things that may have some value, may be helpful, some things to think about. If you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to the channel. Give the video a thumbs up. And anybody you know that may need a little bit of wingman wisdom, why don't you share it with them? Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. I'm Alan Warren, the RV Wingman. Be safe, have fun, play nice, and don't leave your good manners at home.